welcome to this episode in the Associate Member Series of the Canso CEO Conversations. Through these short videos, we hope to get an understanding of how the industry side of the air traffic community has been coping during the last year. As ever, we'll also try and look to the future and see what the industry hopes and plans are for 2021. Today, we are speaking to an executive from one of the biggest and longest established ATM companies in the world. I'd like to introduce a guest many of you will know already, Jean Ferre, the Vice President of Airspace Mobility Solutions with Thales. Welcome, Jean.
Thank you, Connor. Hello, everybody. It's great to be here.
We're going to dive straight in and ask our first question, Jean. And really, what we'd like to know is how have Thales been approaching the past 12 months of operations? And has that changed from pre-pandemic plans, or has it even evolved during the pandemic?
Yes, definitely, Connor, it changed quite a lot. And it also changed between the first part of the year and the second part of the year. At the beginning of the pandemic, we were like everybody quite in a shock, and we had to adapt many of our processes and internal ways of working. And I'd say now we are back to normal in terms of our capacity to operate. We have about, I'd say, 80% of the activity that can fully be done remotely. And we have developed a set of new practices like remote system acceptance, to some extent, remote system design, cloudification of a lot of infrastructure so we can work. It's easier to work from different places of the world or from home together. That being said, we also have had a set of things that have slowed down. Everything that has to do with site access, obviously, everything that has to do with physical moving of parts. But that again was more difficult in the first part of the year. And now we've completely, just like the rest of society, pretty much adapt to that. Maybe one other thing about this crisis, being part of Thales is actually quite a good thing because not the whole company is affected by the economic impact of the crisis. So it has also been quite, I would say, comforting to have the rest of the company being able to support us in that journey.
Great. I mean, as companies, I think we're all learning a lot every day. We learn more. If you think about the wider industry, what lessons do you think the aviation industry has learned throughout this all? And what have we learned in terms of success, and what have we learned in terms of failure?
Yeah, so Connor, it's a bit early maybe to draw conclusions yet in that respect. But I mean, the good news is that despite some delayed investment due to some, of course, revenue slowdown and decrease for many ANSPs and therefore to some extent industry players, we are about developing and supporting a critical infrastructure, so this cannot stop. And hopefully governments have been very present to support ANSPs in their journey to maintain their infrastructure, and even further to actually continue develop the infrastructure and incorporate a set of new technologies like AI, cloud, basically digitalize in a way the infrastructure, because this is mandatory and it keeps on being mandatory. And what we see is that our customers and partners, ANSPs, now today, they don't only have to face an increase of traffic, but they also have to face a growing concern for sustainability, environmental impact, and also in a way they have to build in more flexibility in their capacity to manage the elasticity of the volume of traffic. And in that respect, it's a necessity to move to more modern systems or continue to be on that path. Especially in the context of where you want to keep the level or increase the level of safety, and not to mention cyber security, which is something that is not just staying still, but growing in terms of concern and preoccupation. The one lesson though I am also learning from this crisis is that we need to move away from, in terms also of the business model, from a traditional very large investment capex based for ATC system, and more it seems it makes sense to move to more flexible OPEX driven model. What many NSPs tell us is that they don't want to have to reinvest a massive amount on their next generation system, or if they will, it will be the last time. And so I think it's important in that journey that government agencies or I would say countries agencies such as CESAR-EU, for example, support this transition of model, and actually they do, and this is great.
I think that leads on nicely actually to the next question. We always had a direction of travel which was more and more, and as you say, the elasticity shows that actually sometimes there can be less. And looking at the Thales website earlier, the word resilient appears quite a lot. How does the aviation industry, that's all of us, ANSPs, industry suppliers, how do we work together to build in more resilience?
Yes, I mentioned the evolution of the business model. It's a necessity because we need to deliver in a way something where the value is really tangible from a system provider point of view compared to actually what it costs. And for that, an OPEX model is much better than a CAPEX model. So it's a new way of procuring system, of developing system from a technical standpoint. You cannot just change the business model and not change the way you build and maintain and upgrade the system. So I think that's a major one. Another one that's really key, it was already in NSP's, I would say, long-term philosophy, but it's to move towards systems that are more open, in a way, move away from the big monolith where you have a lock-in for 20 years, and so have more open system from a technical standpoint. So this is, I think this is what are the foundations that we need to be more resilient as an industry and also as individual players. And that means a different way to collaborate, in a way, more openness, more transparency on both cost and value, more interest from an industry standpoint, more interest for actually what are the real pain points of the ANSPs. And so I think that's how we are working together. I hope that this is a shared perspective from the part of the ANSPs who work with Thales, but this is really what we are trying to actually put together. And one great example, for example, is the Air Lab that we have set up together with CAS in Singapore, where we have an agile team working together. And so this is definitely paving the way. And this is just one example. We are definitely working in the same spirit with coupons, with DSNA in particular, not to mention Air Services, Ungaro Control, and I mean that's definitely the way to move forward.
I mean, we're always interested in the opinions of industry leaders like yourself. And when we did some of these conversations last year, where we were in the middle of last year, we could see a lot of uncertain risk and there wasn't much hope. Given where we are now in the cycle of the pandemic and where we are in the world, what are your biggest risks that you see, and what do you think are the biggest opportunities for the industry in the coming year?
Okay. Yes, I mean, I may repeat myself, but I think the biggest risk is definitely not to invest in maintaining and upgrading the systems because there are a set of capacities that are needed that are not provided today with, I would say, the current state-of-the-art architectures. The flexibility, the openness, the leverage of cloud infrastructures and technology, not to mention edge technologies, the incorporation of AI to actually support the controllers and offer them more productive and safer tools in a way. So we have to, the risk is not to invest, because if we do not invest, at the end of the day, we'll have systems that will be obsolete, potentially dangerous, potentially not as safe when it comes to cyber and not only traditional safety. And so it's a paradox because there's less revenue today, but we need to invest actually to move to the next generation. Second, biggest, not risk, but then maybe biggest opportunity is sustainability. As an industry, we can watch it or we can actually lead it, and we have to lead it. I mean, air traffic control is in a position where we can provide tools to improve environmental impact of aviation before planes become greener. We can do that right now, and so I think it's our responsibility collectively, all council members, to provide tools, solutions, and operating models where we can improve that. And I'm so pleased to see that more and more of the NSPs with whom we work and partner actually are joining this cause and are investing in developing ways to make an impact on the environment. One maybe last opportunity is that cloud and open, cloud, open data models and set of other things actually allow us now today to work on the vision that was introduced in particular in Europe with the next generation architecture study. And so I think ADSP, ATM data service providing, is something that can become real, and we should be working on it. And so this is a great opportunity, and it will be both, I would say, an opportunity in terms of operation, but it will also be an opportunity in terms of cost savings and collaboration between NSPs.
Great. It's always good to see more opportunity than risk. So finally, what 3 words would you use to describe the ATM community and why?
Right. I may nail it down to 4 words, but I would say resilience definitely is one. Collaboration is another. The sky is shared, so there needs to be collaboration between all stakeholders to make it work. Digitalization, I don't think it's possible to be successful without leveraging the power of just the new technologies that are now available. And in that respect, I did not mention UTM during these few interactions, but I think UTM, where we see a lot of pickup today, is definitely the place where we can accelerate digitalization. And so we should all invest in that. And finally, sustainability. I think we have to care about the planet, and we have to make sure we have an impact there.
Excellent. John, thank you very much for your time today. It was good to hear your opinions and good to hear from a member like Thales. And I wish you all the best for the year ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Connor. It was great to be here.